Christmas edition of Respect the Process. I'm Kelly Hunter, and committed to his role of Father Christmas, Chris Stewart, on his way to the North Pole, making the stop in Grand Forks, North Dakota today. Welcome back. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I thought you were going to say, committed to Christmas and here's the favorite elf.
Well,
but I'm halfway to the North Pole. You're right.
yes.
I'm in Grand Forks and I'm 2.5 hours by car, I noticed, from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. That's how far north we are. We're up here, but it's cold as I'm talking to you. I think it's about 3 degrees outside with a wind chill about minus 10 at the moment. It is sunny, as you can see behind me a little bit, but with tip-off set for 8 o'clock Central, and we are in the Central time zone, 8 o'clock tip, but winter storm warning beginning at 9. So I hope that Bama plays well, plays fast, and as I have said many times, let's get out of here, because if we don't, we may be here a little while.
Yeah. Don't sing any Buddy Holly songs or anything like that either.
Nope.
Does North Dakota,
Wow.
does Grand Forks, North Dakota look like I think it looks like? In my mind, does it look like I think it looks?
Cold, yes.
Okay.
Dreary. At times, people are really nice.
I'm sure they're lovely people.
The snow's pretty. I haven't seen much, quite honestly. I had no desire to get outside the hotel today. We came in last night. It was already dark. Probably, I think, landed in Grand Forks probably around 6.
Direct flight
6:15.
from Birmingham, Tuscaloosa. Direct flight. Yeah.
It was a direct charter flight.
It's a long commercial flight.
That was a good thing. Yeah, charter flight was good. Brian Passink took the more scenic route. He had a business meeting in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
Last night, flew on Monday to Fort Lauderdale, had meetings, and on Tuesday afternoon went Fort Lauderdale to Minneapolis to, where did he tell me?
This is reminding me, remember in Frosty the Snowman when they're trying to go back and that like the ticket guy just is like giving her a stream of tickets where all you have to connect through? Yes.
That was it. Very similar.
Okay.
And I forgot where his other stop was, but he just made it the connection from Minneapolis to wherever to Grand Forks. So he's here. I've seen him. Tom
Got on the dog
here.
sled. Yep.
Yep, we'll have the broadcast set up, and we're not very far from the arena itself, so we'll be good. We'll be good.
Well, tonight, 6th-ranked Tide is playing the first of the 2 games in the Grant Nelson Classic. It's nice. I mean, my sister played college volleyball, and her coach made a point of scheduling a tournament at the University of Georgia because we grew up in Georgia. It's always nice when the coach does kind of honor this and does something a little different.
Yeah, it is. Dean Smith used to do that all the time. He promised kids that if you'll play, we'll play as close to your hometown as possible before you graduate.
Yeah.
And he honored that. In fact, you probably don't remember. You weren't. No, gosh, I was in college. There's no way you were anywhere close to being here. Pete Chilcutt was a great player out of Tuscaloosa.
Yep.
Played actually, I think, at Tuscaloosa Academy, signed with North Carolina over Bama, and played for the Heels. And then his senior year, the Tar Heels played in Tuscaloosa at Coleman Coliseum against Wimp's team, and really good ball game. And so that was a cool thing that Coach Smith used to do. Now with scheduling, it's very tough to get. I say tough to get those games. Especially at Alabama, you're trying to avoid games that can't help you,
right?
Especially if you were to not win. And this is a quad 4, which is the bottom of the. That sounds bad to say bottom of the barrel, but I mean these are the games that don't help you, even if you win, and can be devastating to many teams if you lose. So Bama hardly ever plays a quad three or quad four, knowing that they may be that. But he did this to honor Grant,
Yeah.
who could have gone anywhere and played. And this was a spot where we could get a road game and do it before all the holidays. And here we are in Grand Forks,
Yep.
and I get to check another state off the
Exactly.
list. There's only a few left. I don't know what the actual list is, but there's only a few that I haven't been to now.
Well, looking back, talking about playing quality opponents, this past Saturday night with Kraton coming to Tuscaloosa, always a pesky team. And a hard win, but a good win for Alabama against a well-respected Kraton.
No doubt. And it's more than pesky. I mean, they beat the number one ranked team in America in Kansas earlier this year. In fact, it was only about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago at the most. And then Alabama, was able to beat them, had them on the ropes where they could have kind of put them away, but never did. And part of that's Creighton's that good, and part of it's Alabama hadn't quite figured out how to go to that next level yet. But they're getting there, and it was a really good win. We continue to see it. I hate to just skirt past a 23-point effort from Mark Sears.
Yeah.
But you're used to that.
27.
Yeah, exactly.
27.
Didn't even give him credit for the full amount.
I know.
We're accustomed to that because he's one of the best players in the nation,
right,
and certainly don't take it for granted. But you've seen him do that before. You're not shocked when he does that. When LeBaron Philon turns in big numbers again, as he did the other night, it's just another example of how good, how talented, and he did some really good things on the defensive end,
right,
as well. So he was really good. This is me adjusting on the fly. This is part of the Grand Forks. Do I need to adjust the curtains here? I mean, I'll get up when I'm in studio and go get a drink from the fridge. Do I need to adjust the light coming in, or does it make
you don't have people that do that?
I better not, because I'm in a hotel room.
I thought you had
better not have people to do
people
anything.
That. I think you look good. It's like a ray of sunshine that you are.
Yeah, I need all the help I can get.
Okay, let's talk a little football, and not a lot of buzz right now about the Alabama bowl game. We'll talk about that in a minute, but a lot of talk about the transfer portal. And most recently, we had freshman cornerback Jalen Mbakwe. He was doing what I was calling the hokey pokey, where you put your whole self in, you take your whole self out. And as an old person, this is something we're having to get used to because in a lot of ways, this is a business decision. And it's, okay, I'm going to put myself in there, see my value, see if my team can match that value, and then I'll take myself back out.
I agree completely that I'm trying to remember the phrase you used there just a second ago, but you're talking about, they're trying to see their value.
Yeah, the market value. What is
the market value? But here's the problem. I get what you're saying, but that's all short term. What is your true value? If you say to it, and it's easy for me to say this because this is not my money. It's not me being offered whatever he was offered to go somewhere else. But your true value can come to a franchise that sees, okay, this kid stayed 3 years or 4, but 3 years, did what he was told to do, didn't get in any trouble, and obviously incredible talent, worked hard, got better, local kid does good, and he's somebody we can make an investment in and not worry about his dedication and devotion. And we're going to take him first round, middle of the pack, as opposed to second round. And by the way, the money is dramatically different mid first to early second round. The contract looks dramatically different. And by the way, let's say that doesn't work out. Okay, let's say for whatever reason, football at its at what the dream is and what the potential is for Jalen Mbakwe or anybody in his position.
Hmm.
Okay. Let's say that doesn't work out. If you put down roots, so to speak, where your roots already are, especially, you're going to be looked after uh, for the rest of your life. There's going to be, I could name names, I'm not going to. But Kelly, you and I both have seen it. And I know this is for in-state kids,
Hmm.
but it's not even, I'll give you an example. Trevor Relaford ain't from Alabama. Trevor Relaford's not from the state of Alabama, but he is beloved by Alabama basketball fans. And Trevor's a sharp young man. Trevor could have made a living and done well wherever he lived, but Trevor does well in business because of his own intelligence, his own hard work, but because of the fact that he was at Alabama throughout his career, did things the right way, and has continued to stay ingrained. He got recognized at the game the other night. Just a quick acknowledgement, but he's always got home. It's going to be Alabama. He's got Kansas City where he's actually from, but this is really home now. Alabama is. Jalen Mbakwe leaves after a year, takes the money,
Hmm.
goes to Ole Miss. If it doesn't work out well there, or the way he wants it to, um, there's not going to be. There are no roots there in
Yeah.
Oxford,
Well, and in
and
looking,
you've done damage. You've done damage to the soil in Alabama as well. And I'm not picking on him. I'm
no,
just you brought him up. That to
that's the
me is
name
an
from yesterday.
example.
Yeah.
Yeah, that to me is an example of why it's you gotta you can't. I know it's a lot of money, but it's nowhere near the amount that it can be. And it's also, what's it worth? What's it costing you in the short term, and what is it costing you in the long term to take what's there right now?
I know. And it's hard, it's trying to tell young kids that we don't know anything.
Hey,
They know everything
it,
because you and I both have
and
teenagers.
we're
And yeah,
adults. Look, I'm a 54-year-old man. I deal with those decisions and choices that impact you in a positive or negative way. We're all faced with that. But this is one we're specifically related to the money aspect in football. That this guy's in an amazing spot where the world is at his feet, so to speak. And you'd hate to see somebody put that at risk.
well, getting information about collectives is not easy because they are private entities and they don't have to give out a great deal of information. But in the few things that we found out in talking to people who run the collectives around the country, they say right now the majority of their money is going to roster retention. It's just keeping guys
Mm-hmm.
who are kind of testing waters outside of their school. And we heard over the summer about Ohio State. This is a $20 million team. Here in the South, I don't know if it's because we're more genteel, but we don't hear the necessary value that is given out. But today, in listening to in the next round and other that quarterbacks are going to, the average value is about $2.5 to $3 million a year, and this is a crazy slippery slope that we are sitting on, because also you have agents that represent players as well as coaches who know what kind of money these schools and these collectives have.
Jobs are tough enough for athletic directors, administrators, coaches, fundraisers. Um, but boosters have been called on for years to help. You're talking about a whole different realm when you're talking about just paying kids directly.
Mm-hmm.
It goes back to what you've heard me say it several times, Kelly. If you don't do the right thing will be done for you the wrong way. And when we didn't allow kids to, I say we, I'm talking about as the adults in the
Mm-hmm.
room, and the opportunities were not given for kids to maybe do some of this on their own, they took away all the rules basically, and now it's
Yeah,
truly the
it is
wild
the Wild
wild
West.
west. And it's making it where it's going to be tougher and tougher. And I don't, I want to go back to what I was saying. I'm not blaming Jalen and Bakwe or anybody else for making the most that they can or looking out for themselves. I'm I'm just saying this is what we've kind of put it in now with the fact the NCAA couldn't handle itself,
Yeah.
couldn't handle its own business, and now they've lost it. And this goes back to the clown that was the president for years before the guy in charge now has inherited this mess. It's his responsibility to fix it. But he inherited this mess from Mark Emmert, who was a total idiot and screwed this thing up with no leadership. He was filling his own pockets for years and had no clue on leadership, direction, guidance, or anything that made any sense.
Something interesting I was reading in The Athletic. So LSU head coach Brian Kelly, first time he has not won 10 games since 2016. And obviously there's a lot of pressure on him in Baton Rouge to start winning. What he has asked is if he can pledge to match up to $1 million in donations to the athletic department's name, image, and likeness collective. So he wants to match part of his own salary in order to increase the collective money in Baton Rouge. You talk about the Wild West, and there are no rules right now. So I always picture that scene in Moneyball where Brad Pitt is talking to the A's owner, saying, "Okay, I want this guy, and I'll pay for him, but then I want this much back on the return once we, turn around and sell him for more." That's almost what they're doing, and obviously this is very transactional at this point. But the fact that coaches are saying, "I will match my salary in order to get more money in this," because I was reading where the Arizona State woman who runs their collective saying that, kids here, we're going to offer you this. Well, they already know that this school has this to offer. It's a crazy game, and now that the portal is open, we hear more and more each day about what, in a lot of ways, 17, 18, 19-year-old kids are having to make these decisions.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's a lot of money.
It's an awful lot of money with very little direction and stipulation on how things are going to work. Now, we're going to find out fairly soon how things look with the NCAA and this, I think the federal ruling and what the requirement's going to be of what they do have to pay and but at least there's going to be some direction
right
at that point.
Because right now it's take it if you can make it. Just
exactly right. And guys are literally being recruited off of other rosters. It's not a matter of, hey, you know what, I'm not happy, I'm going to put my name in the portal. They're calling you flat out, say, hey, you want to come? We'll give you this much.
Yeah.
And also part of the problem is there's no policing it. So there's nothing to hold the recruiters, because I say the recruiter because it's not necessarily the school, it's the recruiter for a school. These people are making these promises and they're not required to live up to them.
No. Yeah.
Which in turn, for the kids that can and do, just bolt. And they've walked on their teammates, they've walked on, the school, the coaches, and they've walked on their own opportunity because they've said, I'm not going to stick around for you and help you win, which on the one hand I get, but on the other hand, they're not helping themselves.
Have any of the entries?
If you're sitting there as if you're a draftable player and you're sitting there debating whether or not you're going to take this kid or that kid, you're not going to take the kid that walked on his other team.
Yeah. Have any of the entries from Alabama surprised you who have decided to go into the portal?
Kelly, I would be disingenuous if I sat here and told you I was plugged into every one.
Yeah.
Had a great feel on all of them because I don't. But I don't. There's nobody that I've looked. Devontae Smith. Guys that are getting their playing time and are doing well, starting at a place. I guess it's anybody that's starting at Alabama it would be surprising in some regard to me that a kid would want to go somewhere else. I don't fault the guys. I don't fault anybody.
Yeah.
But I'm not surprised at all by guys who are really good players but aren't starting,
Right.
that feel like they need to go somewhere else to get more reps, to spotlight who they are and what they want to do. I get that.
Yeah.
I'm also not surprised by kids who are stars at a lower level that want to come to Vanderbilt built a pretty good roster
Absolutely.
off of really good mid-major players that wanted to come play in the SEC. They got real competitive real fast. And it was by getting that type of kid. So I understand why kids move if it's a chance to improve their own personal stock. But when you're going somewhere just to make your money situation better, that's going to create some problems down the road for them, I think.
Again, because when
but
we talk
nobody to your point,
yeah, but
or to your question, I should say, nobody shocked me.
Without any guardrails that we've talked about on this as well, they've entered the portal, and their team may still have another bowl game. Because I've entered the portal, so do you want me to dress out or just go ahead and pack my stuff up and head over to the new campus? It's
well, Kelly, there is a team. I forgot who it was, and I saw it. I think it's Arizona State. Their coach said, "Look, understand you want to go to the portal. That's fine, and we're going to wait. We're going to let you, but stick around and finish this. Finish this season. It's going to help you, help us. We'll give you the send off, but stick this out," which I think is smart on everybody's part. It helps you. Two things. One, it helps you make sure you in that relationship in a good note.
Well, sure,
it
shows
helps
some
you
character.
Maybe win, but at the same time, for these coaches, it also maybe buys you a little more time to convince those kids to stay.
Right.
And I don't know what the timeline is. I don't know if that's actually it or not, but at least they're not out the door completely.
Well,
so, I think it's a good move.
And in transitioning that, let's talk a little bit about the trip down to Tampa. Jalen Milroe came out and said last week that he expects everybody to be there to play in this game.
Good. That's good. First of all, that tells me Jalen's there.
Yeah.
Which I know there was a question about that, at least among the fans. And when I say question, not that people in-house were questioning it, but, it's a natural question that's asked of everybody that has the potential to move on, whether it's to go to the NFL draft, whether it's to go to the portal, whatever the situation may be. Are you still going to be there? Are you going to play the next game? And I'm really glad to hear that Jalen's going to do that. Don't know what his plan is beyond the next ball game. I know he sounded, and people interpreted what he said as though he may leave, and I'm not going to be shocked either way, whatever it is he chooses to do. But I think he definitely, it's definitely a good sign with a guy who was the leader a year ago in trying to keep the roster as intact as you possibly could.
Yeah.
Is running through the tape on this thing and is trying to do the same on the back end of it. And regardless of how this goes, regardless of what he chooses to do, I hope Jalen is remembered for the manner in which he has handled all of this and what the role he played. You can complain, and it's understandable. I know what the standard is at Alabama. The expectation is not 9-3. The expectation is not to play in a bowl rather than a playoff game. But without Jalen Milroe's leadership, devotion, and dedication to this team and this program, this season ain't 9-3. I promise you that.
Yeah.
It's far below it. So I hope we never forget that and always honor him with the respect that he does deserve and the appreciation that he deserves for helping keep it together, stay relevant, and stay competitive at the highest level.
Okay, so assuming you're going to get out of Grand Forks, when are you headed down to Tampa?
It's going to be a quick trip. We
Yeah.
play on the 31st. I'll leave and get down there on the 30th, God willing, and we'll come back the night of the 1st. So we've got basketball on the
Yeah.
29th.
I was
We'll play, I think, South Dakota State, actually,
Yep.
at home on the 29th. I'll travel on the 30th, do the game on the 31st, back on the 1st. I think we
You
play
play on the 4th, maybe.
the 4th, January
Yeah.
4th, Oklahoma. Yeah.
So the players, are they going to be able to go home for Christmas? I had not even looked at their schedule yet to see what their plans are.
I think it's we play at noon on the 22nd and
Yes.
don't play again until the 29th.
What about
So I think they will have a few days.
what about football? Will they be able to go home? Or when do they? I
don't
didn't know when
think
football
so.
headed down to Tampa.
I forgot who it was I talked to. Somebody on the staff, and they were telling me about players, they'll go to the homes of other players that are close by, or they'll be at a staff member's house with their families.
Because I was guessing
may
they
be wrong.
probably.
I was thinking it was Kane Womack that was telling me that. But anyway, that's what they'll do.
Yeah.
They will be with their football family.
Right.
They'll get a break in that regard, but they'll be still somewhat, pretty much locked in because you're in that
Right.
bowl mode, that game mode.
Right.
And I think they will probably go. Let's see if they're going to play on the 31st. My guess
2 weeks from yesterday.
is they'll go my guess is they'll probably travel 26th or 27th. That's probably been announced, and I don't miss it, but I'm just guessing.
Yeah, I know, that's what I was kind of trying to get that time frame. Because obviously they play on New Year's Eve morning at 11 a.m., taking on the defending champion Michigan Wolverines, which was nothing like last year's defending national champion Michigan Wolverines. But tonight, 6th-ranked Crimson Tide will face North Dakota in Grand Forks at 8 o'clock on the CBS Sports Network. And then you come home on Saturday for the Kent State Golden Flashes. So, back at the Pack-A-Dome for a nice noon tip-off on Saturday.
That would be very, very nice way for folks to get together, do a little basketball, and then a little late shopping on Sunday afternoon afterwards. But yeah, excited about being back home, and I had to be gone for so long. I'm glad we're getting a couple of games in Tuscaloosa before the guys get into conference play, which starts at home. But man, sitting here now, I think this week's poll with Bama at number 6 in one, I think 7 or 8 in the other. And you're looking at, again,
I think 5 SEC teams in the top 10 right now.
5 in the top 10, 6 maybe in the top 11 or 12. It's
game on.
As tough as it's ever been. It is, and it's going to be night after night after night in the league. The team with the worst record, Kelly, among SEC teams, the worst record to this point coming into this week was South Carolina. They were only 7-3.
I mean,
and
if
they
could
beat
pick
a
up the
top
slack.
25. Yeah, they beat a top 25 Clemson.
I mean,
this week or Monday or Tuesday. So
need to have a
that's
code
how
red
good
with
the
those
league
guys.
is.
Something.
Yep.
Well, if you're missing Chris Stewart like we are, you can always find him at chrisstewart.online, 2 S's, because you can listen to him tonight, which might be, if you're having trouble finding the CBS Sports Network, you can always find Chris listening to him. But we need to have a big thanks to Scott Forrester back there. No coal in his stocking this year because Scott has once again turned in a banner performance. So I got a good feeling Santa's going to take care of you, Scott. Big thanks to everybody. Anything that you need, Cover Crimson will take care of you, as well as the guys here at the next round. They will help you get all the way in through the college playoffs, bowl season, you name it. They will take care of you. I'm Kelly Hunter here in Birmingham. Chris Stewart, Grand Forks, North Dakota. Give us a big happy holidays, Christmas.
And roll tide.
Have a great week. We'll see y'all next time.